Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not hurting someone really, really bad, I'm here at the Wolfula reviewing movies. I just like to preface this video by simply stating that I am not a DC hater. I love DC with all my heart, and I have very little attachment to Marvel outside of Spider-Man and that one Daredevil show. Maybe Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll wait for the sequel to see if that series has legs. Point is, Marvel can go suck a dick as far as I'm concerned. But God bless them, Marvel has done a pretty good job not only adapting their own material faithfully, but tying it all together with consistency. Who honestly gave a fuck about Iron Man before? Marvel did the impossible and made Iron Man actually appealing to people. I wish I could say the same thing about Warner Brothers and how they've been handling DC in film. For years, Warner just made Batman and Superman movies. They avoided every other DC character like the fucking plague. Sure, once they took a crack at Green Lantern, despite seeing that particular film, I don't remember anything about it. As far as I can recall, the film was just a blank screen. DC needs a cinematic universe to match Marvel's, though. That's the problem right now, and DC fans have been suffering for it. Warner needs more than just Batman to support them now, but the market is so saturated with superheroes, and Warner is too far behind to catch up. So instead of taking the time to build up a universe around the Henry Cavill Superman that showed up alone in Man of Steel, Warner accelerated the process, with horrible results. Again, I love DC. In fact, I love DC so much that I decided not to review Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice when it was released. I may review it down the line, but the point is I skipped it when it was in theaters. I really hated that movie, and I didn't want to be marked as another hater, adding more fuel to the fire. And let's make it clear, that movie was pretty much Freddy Krueger. There was that much fire. Trust me, I really wanted to vent about the fucking Jimmy Olsen execution that happens in that goddamn film, but you know what? Maybe Warner could recover from it. Ben Affleck was really good, you know? There was hope. Some of the things worked. I could look the other way when I saw it in theaters. But now we have Suicide Squad. Truth be told, I've never read a Suicide Squad comic. My only familiarity with Task Force X is an episode of Justice League Unlimited and the recent animated film. That being said, Suicide Squad, the film, is meant to be the ambassador for the greater DC universe. Instead of building up a universe slowly with a series of films, Warner Brothers has instead decided to hedge their bets on people's familiarity with Batman to get people immersed in DC's world. Keep in mind, though, we don't know much about Ben Affleck's Batman so far. Warner just has faith that audiences will be down with Batman no matter the continuity. Then again, I don't know much about Henry Cavill's Superman either, and we've had 2 films with him. So, we got our baseline heroes out of the way, begrudgingly in one movie. What about the villains, though? Suicide Squad covers the villain side of DC. Well, mostly Batman villains. Batman's where the money is at, and Warner Brothers is determined to make Batman their only moneymaker by focusing mostly on him and his rogues gallery. I'm sorry I haven't reviewed Suicide Squad yet in this Suicide Squad review. Point is, I'm just a little peeved about the DC universe being turned into the Batman universe, plus a few other superheroes you might know. The story of Suicide Squad is difficult to describe. In fact, I'm not completely sure about what I watched, but just bear with me here. You see, Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, is some top government person that may be in charge of Cadmus. I don't remember if Cadmus was mentioned. Waller wants to form her own team of superhumans that will fight in the interests of the United States and take on a supposed evil Superman.
I want to build a team of some very bad people who I think can do some good.
Waller chooses mostly criminals to compose this team. The movie doesn't do a good job of explaining why she wants to do this.
They're bad guys. Worst of the worst.
If there was a pressing matter that required superhumans quickly and with discretion, Waller's plan would make sense because the only option is already imprisoned supervillains. But Waller is planning ahead with supervillains? Why? Can't she arrange for superhuman mercenaries on a proper payroll if she's thinking ahead? Whatever. Waller's choices in superhumans are kind of lacking in the super. There's Deadshot, which makes kinda sense because he's a gun guy who doesn't miss, and he's fucking Will Smith. He'll put asses in the seats while he's putting bullets in the heads.
Don't forget, we're the bad guys.
There's Killer Croc, the Heavy, who's a crocodile man that eats people. Not exactly a match for Superman like Waller seems to be aiming for, but alright. Then there's El Diablo, who is a tattooed literal firebrand. fire powers. Now that makes sense. Except he doesn't want to cooperate from the start, and Waller doesn't really have any leverage on him. Okay, this is a really solid group you have planned, Amanda.
I was just trying to get you there. You know how I feelings, right? We good.
Here's where the group gets really sketchy. Waller wants Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie in the group, whose only real qualification stated in the film is being Joker's girlfriend. I'll get back to that in a bit, but really now? Harley Quinn? I know Harley has been promoted to being a main character in DC, becoming essentially female Deadpool, but this movie doesn't properly explain a lot of shit, like why Harley is a good choice to fight superhuman threats. I'm just supposed to believe it?
I'm known to be quite vexing. I'm just forewarning you.
You die.
Again, there's Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang, who is amusing, but why is a guy who is good at throwing boomerangs a good choice for this group when the movie doesn't actually show us why he would be? Boomerang is shown to be easily thwarted by Flash without a fight, and he's also shown to be really shitty at working in teams. It just seems that Amanda Waller is fucking terrible at her job.
Know what they say about the crazy ones?
Huh?
To help tie the group together and keep them on the straight and narrow, besides the bomb collars, there's Rick Flagg at command, some Johnny Knoxville-looking soldier motherfucker.
This is the deal. You're going somewhere very bad to do something that'll get you killed. But until that happens, you're my problem.
I think Flagg should have been less gritty. He should have been a good soldier with a holier-than-thou attitude, who was by the book, who would be out of his element among all of the villains. Being gritty, but without a neat costume, makes him forgettable in the group.
Ladies, shut up!
Finally, there's Katana, a masked swordswoman who doesn't have much going for her beyond her fight scenes and the fact that she has a sword possessed by the ghost of her dead husband. Okay, Man of Steel made it seem like this was a normal world before Superman showed up, but now we suddenly have ghost swords? Pretty abrupt, don't you think? Making Katana only speak in Japanese was an interesting choice, but I think it would make things really inconvenient if you couldn't understand what your teammate was saying.
Love your perfume. What is that? The scent of death? Koroska.
Whoa, easy, cowgirl. Ain't that kind of a mission. Have a seat.
Okay, I've spoken a lot about the characters, but what about the story? Well, the story kind of goes off the fucking rails after Waller figures out what her team should be. Waller had another member planned for her Task Force X, Enchantress, one of the most convoluted characters I've ever seen in a superhero movie. You see, Enchantress isn't just Gollum and drag, she's also an archaeologist that is possessed by a witch from another dimension. Okay, so far so good. Here's where the film lost me. Amanda Waller somehow has Enchantress's green heart, which is separated from Enchantress's body, and that's how Waller controls her. That's a little too weird for a movie that's already packed with weird characters, but then you have to digest the fact that Rick Flagg is in a relationship with Enchantress's alter ego. All we really know about Flagg's and Enchantress's relationship is that they like each other, though. That's all the movie tells us. So it's pretty inconsequential, but it's treated as a major plot point. Enchantress isn't one of the unlikely heroes of the movie, though. No, disappointingly, she's one of the villains. You see, for the first act of the movie, Waller is assembling the Suicide Squad for no particular reason. She just wants to be prepared for... something. Not a great hook, honestly.
Worst of the worst.
Eventually, a problem coincidentally arises once the squad has been picked up. Enchantress goes rogue, teams up with her brother, who looks a lot like Mano Tiki Tia from Scooby-Doo, and the two silly-looking characters aim to just take over the world or destroy it. Who cares? This is where Suicide Squad falls down for me. In a movie about villains fighting evil, I was kind of hoping that there'd be an interesting villain lined up. The trailers were misleading as all hell, not to mention that a lot of the shit in the trailers weren't in the fucking movie.
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
I assumed that Jared Leto's Joker was going to be the villain that Task Force X would fight. It would make sense of Harley Quinn's inclusion. Joker has nothing to do with the story at all. He's just present because he wants to rescue Harley. Yes, this version of Joker actually seems to genuinely love Harley Quinn, instead of just keeping her around as an amusing henchwoman.
I can't wait to show you my toys.
Or maybe Joker just sees Harley as a mascot or a trophy. Either way, it just seemed really out of character for Joker to be going out of his way and risking his life for Harley, of all people. Joker only looks out for number one. It just felt like a lame, forced way to include Joker in the movie to get people to see it. Besides that, Joker doesn't have much screen time, and he doesn't get a moment. Jared Leto constantly makes dumb, confused faces, and his take on the character seems to be stupid. This Joker is the craziest so far, but he's crazy not in the mad genius sort of way, but in the wacky, dumb gangster sort of way who wears a lot of purple and accessorizes. Oh, and those tattoos, jeez, what were they thinking?
Really bad.
You know, Suicide Squad is fun here and there. It's not joyless. There's some great cameos, Easter eggs, and homages from DC throughout the first third of the film that are really neat, but the movie just runs out of steam after a while once you get to the underwhelming story. The action scenes were alright. I like Deadshot's firing range scene. Bottom line is, there's some cool stuff in the film and some funny performances by Will Smith and Margot Robbie, but if the story is somehow formulaic and hard to follow at the same time, it can put a damper on the fun and make every little thing feel pointless. Like, I didn't really know what the Suicide Squad's mission was supposed to be most of the time. It seemed to change constantly.
You might want to work on your team motivation thing. You heard of Phil Jackson? Yeah. He's like the gold standard, okay? Triangle, bitch.
Certain things happen that don't really have any consequences later. A character, for instance, betrays everyone, but later, all of the characters just brush it off like it was nothing.
Oh, yeah, you're the fire bloke, eh? Well, looky here. Fire!
It's hard to care when all of the characters don't really care themselves, and are just going through the motions without knowing what they're supposed to be doing. Worst of all, the ending was lame and unsatisfying, dealing with magic and fantasy sequences with a silly payoff. Based on the trailers, I thought Suicide Squad was going to be grounded much more in reality, but man, it seemed like there were more magic spells than bullets fired in this flick. If you're a DC fan like me, you'll appreciate some of what Suicide Squad has to offer, but as a whole, it's just too much of a hodgepodge to be enjoyable throughout to me. It's not a terrible movie, it's just a letdown. You will get to see Margot Robbie's digitally shrunk down shorts, so it might be worth watching for that, I suppose. I give Suicide Squad a magic witch heart out of a purple Lamborghini. Honka honka!